Today we're turning out the lights, and I'm taking this ordinary stepping stone that I stole from my mom's house and turning it into a glow-in-the-dark project. Because I pulled it straight from the garden, I started by cleaning my stone with Dixie Belle White Lightning. I then used Dixie Belle paint in Manatee Gray, which is the closest color to concrete, and I diluted it to create a sort of concrete stain. The stone was originally a sort of terracotta color, and I just didn't care for the look. I flipped my stone up and I covered around the edges. I also chose to cover the back of mine. That part would be totally optional since it is going to go on the ground. Spraying with water as I go helps the paint absorb into the pores of the concrete. All done with the paint step. My stone looks great, already an improvement. You could choose to leave it like this and it would still be a great project, but we're going to step it up a notch. I'm going to use these tiny measuring cups to measure out my resin in a 1-to-1 ratio. For this project, I'm using the new Amazing Clear Cast Plus resin by Alumilite. This is the most UV resistant product on the market, which will be perfect since this stone will be going outdoors. The UV resistance helps my resin not to yellow over time. I started by mixing equal parts of part A and part B into smaller cups, and then I mixed them into a larger cup together. Once they're mixed, you want to stir for about 4 minutes to make sure that you get your parts A and parts B equally mixed. You have about 45 minutes to work with this resin once you've mixed the two parts together. This is the exciting part. Here I'm adding the phosphorescent powder into my resin mixture. It's a white powder and I just used the end of a popsicle stick to add a little bit into my resin. The phosphorescent powder is what's going to cause my resin to glow in the dark when I'm done. I set my mixture aside and got my stone back out, made sure it was free of dust and debris. Now I'm going to use Dixie cups and I'm going to split my resin mixture into 2 parts and mix some color into it. For color, I'm using Alumidust powders, which are a mica powder, a metallic mica powder that's going to add some sparkle and color to my resin mixture. I always get out extra molds when I'm doing a resin pour, so if I have any resin left over, I have a place to pour it. I hate wasting my resin. For my colors, I chose a light green and a yellow, which would be perfect for my lizard design. This is the part where I realized that I forgot to turn on my camera for my resin pour, and then my camera fell off of my tripod and broke my phone screen. But no worries, I'm going to remix my resin and add a little bit to top off my mold. I repeated my process, mixing equal parts A and B of my Amazing Clear Cast Plus resin, adding my phosphorescent powder, and then a little bit of my Alumidust mica powder for color. Since I'm just doing this to top off my mold, I only mixed my green color this time. I used a toothpick to guide my resin around my mold and mix my colors together. I used a little bit of a swirling motion and then just some pulling just to pull the colors into each other. Once I liked my design, I set my stone aside to dry. The next day, it was dry to the touch, and I put it outside to charge the phosphorescent powder in my resin. Here are the results. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, I hope you'll click the subscribe button and follow me on YouTube at Brushed by Brandy.